All right, we'll get started. It sounds like the speaker's working. One stop. I'm going to present to you today. It's a real exciting time right now at the company, so I'm glad you came in here. I wish more people did, but you're not going to regret it. First, disclaimers, forward-looking statements, of course. My name is David Ron. I'm the CEO and president of the company. I joined the company a little over 2 years ago, and we've made a number of changes since then, really trying to take the company and make it a billion-dollar company rather than a multi-million-dollar company. John Morrison's my CFO in the background, and we'll move on here. So what are we going to talk about today? Really three things. Briefly, I'm going to tell you about the changes we made and the strategy we put together. More about the opportunity we're going after, which is a multi-billion-dollar opportunity, and the wins that are backing up this strategy and the ideas behind it. So quickly on what changes did we make? Well, first we changed the CEO. I was on the board of directors. We decided that the former CEO, good guy as far as creating a public company, but when we went to a private company, but when we went public, just didn't make the transition. I stepped in, I liked what I saw and wanted to do it long term, and that's what I did. COVID hit about 2 weeks later, adding to the challenge. But we were doing a lot of things. First, we worked on diversifying the customer base, improve our efficiencies. I'm big on efficiencies. My previous CEO job was with PLX Technology, bought by Broadcom. We were the highest efficiency in the semiconductor industry at over $1 million revenue at 60 points gross margin per employee. So I'm all about efficiency. We reorganized the company to focus more on strategy, profitability, and shareholder value. We've made changes on the board. We meet all diversity requirements for California, and we strengthened the board in the process. We took advantage of the microcaps going up earlier in 2021 and did a registered direct, and now we're solid with close to $20 million of cash in the bank and about $1 million of debt. We put together in 2021 the strategic plan focused on AI Transportables, which is what I'm going to talk about today, and I'm going to show you some of the blossoming opportunities that have surfaced as a result of that. We're very excited about it. And, we're not waiting for just the future. 2021, we had records across the board on revenues, profits, and a number of different things. So, briefly on 2021, revenue grew by about 20%. Our EBITDA almost tripled along with our net income. Guidance for this quarter is 16.8. I will make a comment that historically we have a very seasonality to our business. We've been smoothing that out, and so 16.8 is a really good number, would be a very significant number for the company and be a new record and be 26% growth over last year. So we're feeling really good about things. So what is the strategy we put together? Well, first of all, we worked on the fundamentals. In 20, we've cleaned up the balance sheet, got ourselves financially stable, all of that, became a profitable company. And then 21, it was all about a new strategy and going and implementing it. And so that brings us to 2022, and our focus right now is to do what we said we would do in AI Transportables. And I think I'm going to show you today it's happening. Just like we said we would do in 2021, clean up the balance sheet, put a plan together, this part of it's happening now too. So let me talk about AI Transportables a little bit if you're not familiar with it. What this is really about is, although most of our competitors take an old embedded product and they try to take that up and increase the performance to get into these edge applications, we take the highest power systems in the data center and bring them down to the edge. So our philosophy is very different. We call it the transportable, AI Transportable Edge. So this is within edge computing. Edge computing, if you're not familiar with it, is one of the hot buzzwords. It's one of the fastest growing parts of the market, and it's where we participate. And the example is the data centers, the Amazons, all of those of the world, you think of the Googles, they're the central data center. But these edge processing, which we're part of, not only a couple of years ago, it was only a couple of years ago that only 10% of the processing was done on the edge. It's expected that to go closer to 75% in the coming years. So it's moved from these central data centers out to the edge, which is where we participate. Now there's really three elements, I'm going to build it out here, of edge computing. The first one is a data center. They've just taken a data center, a building, and moved it closer to you. We don't play there. That's where Dell and HP and those guys, and they slug it out, low margin business. And we also don't play in the little IoT devices, so something in your washing machine or on a factory floor. They do fine communicating up to the cloud. Where we focus is what we believe is going to be the largest part of the market, the fastest growing, and has the most tailwinds. And that is really bringing AI, artificial intelligence, and or autonomous features to something that moves. And the reason for that is where our skill set is. These are harsh environments. These are not a data center. We can make that equipment work in those applications. I'll share more in a minute. We believe this is a multi-billion-dollar market a few years out. It could be much larger than this. Today I'm going to talk about autonomous trucks where we're winning. That alone could be this size of the market. One of 16 verticals that we've identified within the space. Huge opportunity. This isn't something that was just brand new to us. It was actually 20% of our revenue. But what I noticed when I came in is that was where all our margin was. It was all our pull. It was where all the excitement was. So why not focus on there? You got a multi-billion-dollar opportunity here. So focus, and that's what we're doing. So one of the ways to think about it, if it moves and needs AI, we're the guy. We're the guy for compute and storage systems. So as you see in that graph, what we're doing is taking the highest performance systems and combining it with these challenging environments and bringing an offering to these opportunities. Now this isn't hope. We're winning in these designs, and I'm going to share more with that in a minute. When I think about a business, I always look for, is there tailwinds? Is there some economic driving thing to make a new market happen? A lot of these have a lot of economics behind it. For example, autonomous trucks we're going to talk about here in a minute. When you take a semi-truck and make it go across the country in 2 days rather than 4, there's huge economics that pull this market, and that's what's happening in that. And that's the same for some of these others. But in the case of that market and other markets, they need the highest performance in these harsh environments. And they don't want to compromise. What some of our competitors do is bring the products in, they tune it down and compromise because they can't figure out a way to keep the thing cool enough or get enough power to it. We solve those problems. So what makes it unique? If you look at the red area, the challenges. So this is what you're dealing with in an AI transportable application. And I can't overemphasize how much like the unique power and cooling are big deals in addition to a vibration of a semi-truck or a prop on an airplane or a helicopter. They can rip apart a computer system. But we solve that problem for our customers. So what makes us unique versus our competitors? First of all, our competitors are pretty fragmented. But we will take the latest technology from, say, an NVIDIA, an AMD, Intel, and we bring it into this application where our competitors take an old product. We have real engineers. We don't just put things together. We do switch fabrics with PCI Express, NVLink from NVIDIA. We're one of the few licensed with NVIDIA in this area. That gives us extreme advantage over some of our competitors. And we're very good at building things quickly. So what are the products we build? So I'll build this out. We build basically GPU compute accelerators, servers, memory devices, and then also networking things to connect them together. So this is the best part. I get to talk about the toys, what we're really in. And so there's two markets. There's the military and the commercial industrial. First, the military. So if you go and you read and you do a search on military and AI, what you'll see is the number one priority in all the armed forces, armed services, is to add AI to every node. And they don't know how to do it, and they're looking for companies like us to help them. So this is a huge opportunity independent. What administration or what budget cuts, this is the priority. So what is happening? These are the different types of applications that AI or autonomous is going into. Everything from aircraft, which we're in, and a number of other things. So what you see in the green there is that's what we're in today. So that's where we won confirmed designs, multiple, and within that space, there's a multi-billion-dollar opportunity in itself. And then the yellow is where we're engaged and actively quoting some very big programs, where we're doing disruptive things, taking old technology and convincing, we have to get to a senior level, and that's what we're doing, is saying, we need this technology, so we have to find a way to work with these guys. And then other markets that we're not as far along with, but we also see as a big opportunity that we're just starting to crack. So I'm going to share one of these applications with you, and this is a real one. This is where we basically took a data center and put it in an aircraft. We put it in a 737. It's a $1 million system, and these are the P-8s that the Navy flies over the Pacific Atlantic Ocean looking for Russian and Chinese submarines. So that is a real application. It's a big program, and this is through the Navy, but we're also pursuing one with the Air Force. So why do they care? What they want to do is they're collecting lots of data, and they want to be able to, in real time, process that data. They have to bring it in, they store it, they process it, and then they need to act on it. Believe it or not, until they did this, they were putting in memory devices, taking it back, and then putting on computers and processing. Now they're doing it with AI in flight so they can react quicker in a time of crisis. I'm now going to move on to the commercial industrial segment. These are some of the applications we're pursuing. Autonomous trucks is happening today. Aviation we're just touching on, but the aircraft of tomorrow that later this decade get launched, they will have data centers on board, and they will need our kind of technology. So today, these are the applications we have some activity in or wins, and the rest of them are ones we're pursuing. We think mining and agriculture actually will be very large ones with strong economics also. But they're not as far along. They're doing stuff that doesn't require our kind of sophistication, but they will in the future. So we've identified these 16 different markets, and I'm going to tell you about the one I'm really enjoying right now. I'm immersing myself in it. It's just fun. It's autonomous trucks. One is I got to sit in one. I've been told they're going to take me for a ride in one, which will be interesting to be sitting in a truck driving itself. These things are driving themselves today, guys, on the road you're on. And the dynamic here is the economics are so strong. One, there's a shortage of 60,000 drivers. Two is the profitability doubles for these trucking companies because of the way, how quick they can get something across the country and how they need less people. As a result, they're willing to use the first generation of autonomy and not wait for the ultimate one. There's over $10 billion that have been invested in this space. Amazon, UPS, FedEx, all of them, Walmart, and they're partnering with these smaller companies you probably don't even know, which are the ones building these systems. So before I learned about this market, I had this envision of these cool looking trucks that were going to be autonomous. That's not what's happening. What they're doing is taking a regular truck you see on the road and they're adding stuff to it. So they're adding LiDAR, radar, video cameras, sensors, and then they're putting computer systems and storage systems back where you used to have the sleeping compartment. It's pretty cool. You see a little data center in a mini thing. And so that's what they're doing to help get to market quicker. And so these are trucks where, you know, whether it's a Peterbilt or Freightliner, they will offer truck and it'll be an option. I want the autonomous option. It might be a $75,000 option on a $150,000 cab, but you're going to double the profitability. It's a no-brainer. You can drive twice as many miles in half the amount of time. So there's different models. What's happening on the road? Today, these are driving along. These are two trucks. There's a driver in the one, and there's no driver in the second truck. So if you see nobody in the second truck next to you, look to see if there's a truck in front of it. The one is following the other. That's the first generation type stuff. The second, which is where we're focused more, and hundreds of thousands of miles have been driven in autonomous trucks with our products in them. Hundreds of thousands of miles. And that is really what's called hub to hub. And that is all freeway driving, basically, primarily these days in the southwest part of the United States. And these trucks are driving by themselves, but there is a driver sitting there, hands off steering wheel, off the pedals, but if he sees something he doesn't like, he interacts. If he interacts, the computer systems and the AI process that data, understand what just happened. How can we make it better next time? And so that's what's happening 99.5% of the time the truck is driving itself. And then the ultimate, which is level 5, is where they can go down the city streets and all of that. So it can go from a dock that's not necessarily right at the freeway, and that'll be further down the road. So where are we today? We're in 3 of them right now. If you listed the top guys, we're in some of the top guys, no doubt about it. And we're going to be doing some press releases on this and share more information in the coming days, months. We are really building a position here. And why? Because we build something that's higher performance and more rugged than anyone else, period. Our competitor systems are rattling apart. Our systems are holding up. This is a big market. I told you that the AI transportable market is a multi-billion-dollar market. Here's the numbers just for this market alone. So, we're selling maybe $50,000 worth of equipment today. Say that goes to 10 or 10,000, 15 or 5,000. These are all with Bs. This market's big. And we're committed and focused on staying in this market when it goes to production, not just at the prototyping level. So, that's really where we're at. We're focused on this. We're immersing ourselves. We're looking for ways to make sure we're the market leader and we stay there. We're bringing out products that we're co-designing with these truck guys. We'll be releasing one soon. And we're working with their software teams to understand what levels of software we could add to our product. And we're doing much more than our competitors in a very fragmented field. I think this is my second to last slide, but this really kind of talks about the complexity of what we do and why not everybody does it. And it really gets back to these challenge environments. So for us to build these systems, we have to take into consideration all the specs of a vehicle, getting enough power to a 6,000 watt computer system that a car or truck was never designed to support, figure out how to cool it, keep it quiet enough, and all those different dynamics. So that's what we do. This one here is the data center that went into the 737, but it's a very similar thing actually for autonomous trucks, just on a smaller scale. So our message and to you is that we're focused on this space. It's all about the words there, performance without compromise. Anybody can bring a high performance system and turn it down, derate it. But if you're going to bring it in the field and bring the highest performance, that's what we do. And we're only, last year we did $62 million. I think our market cap's about $80 million. And our objective is to create $1 billion company here. And that's what we're trying to do and we're focused on doing. So with that, thank you for attending, and I'll try to answer any questions I have for you. Yes?
So the target is, tomorrow, the target is the automotive or truck market. Where primarily is it aviation today, where that 63 million comes from?
Yeah, so to repeat the question for the recording is, where's the business today versus the future? Today, the 62 million we had last year, about 20 to 25% of it is in this AI transportable space, which includes aircraft, like you mentioned. The autonomous truck space, we were selling product last year into it, but it's not the majority of the business at this point. The autonomous truck space will start to show up as being some of our top accounts this year and next year, and then could blow who knows what happens after that. And the other thing is these other verticals are opportunities for us to go pursue also. Yes? great question. Yeah. Yeah, so the way this market has developed is the Peterbilts of the world are not doing it. What's doing it is a Silicon Valley typical startup model. So these companies have formed, they've gone out and raised money in billions of dollars. A couple of them have gone public for $5 billion with no revenue. Some of them have shrunk down to $2 billion valuations. 200 employee companies, but they're experts at doing this and they're building these systems. But their partners who are funding them are the Peterbilts, are the Amazons, the UPS, the FedExes are partnering up with all these companies, but they're letting them do it. These companies, some of the names are Embark, Kodiak, Torque, Too Simple, and a number of others. But everybody you would expect to be in the space, whether it's Daimler, the largest truck manufacturer, they're partnered with a guy. They own a guy, actually. Volvo is partnering with people, and that's what's happening in this market. Any other questions? Yeah.
So the media business is historically a pretty big business, got hurt by COVID. Maybe you can talk a little bit about how that business is doing today. And then also, you have the big European subsidiary of Brezhnev. How has what's the events that are happening in Eastern Europe and impacting that business, if at all, at this point?
Okay, so the couple questions there. One is our media and entertainment, which historically has been our largest customer. And I'll talk about that. The second was, is the Ukraine war impacting our facility that supports Europe out of Munich. So on the first one, our media and entertainment customer, they got impacted by COVID because they build all the backdrop for concerts, the Olympics, the Super Bowl. They do all of that. They're a market leader. When large gatherings stopped, nobody needed their equipment. What happened, though, is they started focusing on the virtual world. The virtual world has now replaced the large gathering as far as revenue with us, but all the big gatherings coming back. So what I'm saying is they've created a whole new product line, and our opportunity is to significantly grow that business as a result. Because, again, they've replaced the large gathering business with the virtual. What does virtual mean? They're creating a stage like this, you'd be watching, and it looks like I have desks, I have all this stuff, and none of that it really exists. There's just people, and they create an artificial world that makes it look like you have a $2 million stage, is one example of it. Somebody like an ESPN would use that. Second question on Brezhnev, not directly impacted by Ukraine. What we're seeing as far as Ukraine is that it's disrupted the supply chains. Shipping costs have gone up, getting product, it's impacting supply and everything. It has not impacted demand. And supply has been an ongoing issue now since the beginning of 2021. It's something that's going to continue through this year, and we've been just managing through it. We've been smart about guidance. We've stayed within guidance, beat guidance, and taken into consideration things are going to happen that we don't expect. One minute.
Last comment, our breakout session is at 4 o'clock at table 6. If anybody would like to spend a little more time discussing any of this, 4 o'clock, table 6.
Thank you, everybody. Appreciate you attending. Thanks.